Hello everyone, I am Radhika and in this video we'll be covering the post-order traversal of the binary tree. So in the previous video we have covered the post-order traversal using the recursion approach, but here we'll be using the iterative approach to solve this. Firstly, we need to keep in mind that when we are traversing any binary tree using the post-order traversal manner, then first we need to go to its left child, then the right child, and then the root node. This is how we traverse any tree if we are using the post order approach. Fine. Secondly, when we are using the iterative approach to solve this, we need to use two stacks to solve it. In the earlier videos we have seen that we were using a single stack, but over here we will be using two stacks. Fine. So we can understand how we can solve this problem by looking at the example and understanding how we are using this approach to solve it out. Now fine, first thing is that you are always given the root of the node. You need to push that root node into your stack. Now you need to store it in your stack 1. So I stored 1 in my stack 1. Fine. Now when I need to explore its child, that is its left child and the right child, before that I need to pop the root node or the current node from my stack 1 and I need to store it in stack 2. Fine. Now I need to go its left and right child and I need to store these two nodes or the left or right childs into the stack 1. First we need to store the left child and then the right child. So I stored 2 first and then I stored 3. Now we need to see who is at the top of the stack. At the top of the stack we find 3. So we'll pop 3 from our stack and again we'll push it into stack 2. Fine. Now we need to explore the right and the left child of the stack of node 3. So of node 3 we find that there is no left child, that is it is null, and on the right we have 8. So we stored 8 into our stack. Okay, we stored 8. Now we see that who is at the top of the stack. We find that 8 is on the top. So we pop 8 from the stack 1 and stored it in stack 2. Now we need to explore its left and right child. The left child is 9. So we stored 9. In the stack we don't store the null values. Fine. Now at the top we again have 9. So we'll remove 9 from our stack 1 and we need to store 9 into our stack 2. Okay, now at the top of the stack we find that we have 2. Fine. So we have 2, so we remove 2 from our stack and we store 2 into stack 2. Now I go to its left and right child. At the left I have 4 and on the right I have 5. So I stored first 4 and then I stored 5. Now at the top of the stack we have 5 again, so we remove 5 and we store 5 into our stack 2. And who are the child nodes of 5? We have 6 and 7. So we stored first 6 and then we stored 7. Now coming to 7, we pop 7 from stack 1 and store it in stack 2. Now we see who are the left and the right child. We don't find anyone. It's okay. We don't need to insert anything into our stack 1. Now we move to stack to 6, who is at the top of the stack now. So we pop 6 from our stack and we push it into our stack 2. Now we see who are the left and the right child, but there's no one. So it's fine. We don't need to insert anything into our stack. Now who is at the top of the stack? We say that 4 is at the top of the stack. So we pop 4 from our stack and push it into stack 2. Now who are the left and right child? We find no one. So we can say that at the end our stack 1 has become totally empty. So when our stack 1 becomes empty, we can say that we have traversed the entire binary tree using the post order manner. Now where is our output? So our output is currently stored in stack 2. Now you will say that our current output and the actual output are very different. So how can you say that we have stored it? So wait, we need to define a vector, since we also need to I define a vector answer. And now stack uses a approach of LIFO, that is last in first out. So you need to remember that we are gonna pop every element from the stack 2 and push it into our answer vector, and we keep on doing this until our stack 2 becomes empty. Fine. So we'll pop stack 2 completely and push all its elements into answer vector. So I pop. So if I can say that if I pop every element, the stack 2 will become the answer vector will contain all the elements in a reverse order of the elements which are present in stack 2. So if I can say that I push 4 into my answer vector, so I remove 4 from my stack 2. Then at the top of the stack I have 6. So I push 6 into my answer vector. Then I pop it out. Then I have 7 in my answer vector. So I store 7 and I pop it out. Fine. Now I have 5 in my answer vector at the top of the stack. Sorry. So I push it into our answer vector and I pop it out. Fine. Now I have 2 at the top of the stack. I push 2 into the stack and remove it from my into my answer vector and remove it from stack 2. Now I have 9 at the top of the stack. So I push 9 into my answer vector and pop it out from stack 2. Now I have 8 at the top of the stack. So I push 8, then I remove it. And similarly, if we do it for 3 and 1, so firstly I store 3 and then 1, and then my entire stack 2 becomes empty. So you can clearly see that whatever we have got in our answer vector is equal or equivalent to the output vector. So you can see that this is the actual pre-order traversal. So this is how we do the post-order traversal of any binary tree using. Okay, so there might be a question in some of your mind that why we are using two stacks and how did you get to this approach. So firstly you need to understand is that when we are using a post order traversal, so we the post order traversal is like left child, then the right child, and then the root node. Fine. So in the stack 1, we were using the first stack to actually traverse the entire tree, which we were using in all of the other traversals of the tree. That is, stack 1 is only for the traversal. But in stack 2, you know that in stack we have a last and first out approach. We use that approach. In stack 2, we need to understand that we actually store the elements in a reverse manner. That is, we first store the root node, then its right child, and then its left child. It is so because when we pop the elements from the stack, we first get the left child, then the right child, and then the root node. So this is how we were using the two stack approach to solve this problem. And I guess that this doubt might have been clarified from your side. And if any further questions, you can comment down below. Okay. Now let's get to the coding part. So in this is the function given, and we need to return the post order traversal in a vector format. That is, we need to return a vector. So first we define a vector int post order. Fine. Now we need to understand that if our current root node is empty, we need to return an empty vector, because if there's no node to traverse, then how we can find the post order. Okay, so we write a base case condition that if our root is equals to null, we need to return post order, that is, which is currently empty right now. Now if the situation becomes that we have the root node and all the elements, then we define two stacks. So we define stack free nodes. First is stack 1 and the other one is stack 2. And also we need to store the root element in stack 1. So in stack 1 we push the root element. Now we'll traverse the stack 1, we'll traverse the entire tree till our stack becomes empty, our stack 1. So while stack 1 is not empty, we'll apply a while condition, while loop to traverse the tree. So while our stack 1 is not empty, we'll take the top element from the stack. So in root only we can store the topmost element. So stack 1 dot top, and we'll pop that element from stack 1. So we pop it out. Now we need to the element which we have currently popped out, we need to store it in stack 2 also. So in stack 2 we push that element, we push our root node. Fine. Now we need to traverse the its left and right child of the current node which is at the top of the stack 1, and we have stored it in stack 2. So who are the left and right child? 2 and 3. So firstly we'll check if root left child exists. If there is element on the left child, then we can push those elements into our stack 1. So in stack 1 we can push root left. Fine. Now similarly we can do for the right child also. If the right child of the root node exists, so we'll again push it into our stack. Fine. And we'll keep on doing it until our stack 1 becomes empty. Fine. Now and simultaneously we'll be keep on adding all the elements in the stack 2. Now when our base case condition reaches that our stack 1 becomes empty, we'll uh, pop out all the elements from the stack 2 and insert it in our answer or our post order vector. So we'll again apply a while condition, stack 2 dot empty. We'll take the topmost element and we'll insert it. So I take a pre node star node and get the topmost element of the stack, and I'll pop it out and insert this node. We'll be storing the node's value, not the actual node. So in our post order, we'll store it and we'll keep on doing it till our stack 2 becomes empty, and at the end we will return our post order vector. So let's compile it. Yeah. So I guess this you have understood that how we'll be doing the post order traversal of any binary tree using two stack method. Right. So talking about the time complexity and the space complexity of this problem. First, the time complexity. We require constant amount of time to push or pop any element from the stack. And if suppose we have n elements in our stack, so we are doing this operation, constant operation for all the elements. So therefore the time complexity will go up to O of n. And talking about the space complexity, we are requiring two stacks, and in the stack 2 you can see that before popping it out we need to store all the n elements into a stack. So the space required will be n, O of n it will be. And in the stack 1 you can say that we are not storing all the elements at once, but if in the worst case if we need to store it, then the space complexity then the space required will also be O of n. So the overall space complexity for it will be equivalent to O of 2n, and if we don't consider the constant, then it is equivalent to O of n. So the time complexity and the space complexity will be around O of n in this approach. So yeah, this is all about this problem. Thank you.